After that latest CG monstrosity from Ghibli, Miyazaki's like, I'll do it myself. It's the My Neighbor Totoro creator versus the Quint. I can't be the only one that forgot that Miyazaki had a movie coming out. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Miyazaki is trying to one-up James Cameron. He wants no PVs, no trailers, no commercials, nothing. And honestly, for me, I could really respect that experiment. A little different, but last year there were 2 anime movies released on the same date. You might have not heard about them for a reason, but you could pretty much watch them in any order. I apparently picked the one that was extremely boring. For Miyazaki, the only thing he released is this freaking bird poster. And it really just got my business background tingling. Almost everything around this says it's gonna bomb, or at least not do as well as it should. Then again, we always say don't doubt James Cameron, and for Japan, we shouldn't doubt Miyazaki. Last night, I actually did see that the theater was half full. And this morning, it was completely sold out except for net-breaker seats. So maybe Spider-Man has something to worry about. But who cares? This movie, 2 hours, $20. Was it worth it? Why are movies this much? And I know if you're watching this, you love Ghibli, you've seen Spirited Away, you've seen Howl's Moving Castle, you've seen Totoro, and you're wondering, what is this movie even about? From what I've gathered, the main thing that Miyazaki has put out there is that this movie is based on this really old novel. A young Miyazaki must have been reading this back in the day. You got this main character, a little Japanese kid, that lost his mother during the war. I'm not gonna give away how. Years later, you have the papa remarrying, and the story is now him getting used to his new mama and new home, essentially a new lifestyle. So right away, this movie feels really grounded. And especially going with the art style and time, I'm like, oh no, is this gonna be another Grave of the Fireflies? You know, I've been on a recent Ghibli rewatch since Rona, and I'm like, is this gonna get me to ugly cry in the theater? I fricking wish. For the first hour of this movie, you got that bird coming in, the bluebird, and it's just screwing with this poor little boy. I mean, he's like going to a new school, he's getting bullied, and back at home you have the bird just tormenting him. At the beginning it's a little amusing, it's a little cute, something's happening, but then it just continues, and I'm like, you better stop before this little kid turns you into a bucket of KFC. I'm saying that with the bird actually being a bright spot in the movie. Something is going on. Because unfortunately, the little boy, the lead, he's just not interesting. He's boring. And I don't say that lightly. Out of the entire movie, he has maybe a minute or 2 combined of dialogue. Like, where's the toilet? Thank you. No. Where's this person? I mean, this should have been such an easy paycheck. More than that one anime chick. Or freaking Mr. Family over in The Guardians. That said, don't worry, this is a Ghibli movie. And just like the past films, the animation is a really high point. It's so lively, especially anything involving fire animation, the wind. There's a lot of scenes throughout this movie that I'm not necessarily convinced they are references, but they could be. Like that fireplace in that home. Oh, Howl's Moving Castle. The grandma with the pulsating mole. Spirited Away. That one house on the cliff. Kiki's Adventure. On top of the animation, you really just have these gorgeous painted looking backgrounds. And I know at this point they probably are digital, but this whole movie does seem like it could fit right in the 80s and 90s, you know, back when the original, those past Ghibli films were made. If only the story for this movie was at the level of those. When we got to the first hour, I'm like checking my watch. Where is this going? Is this really just a slow burn throughout the movie? Did I waste my $20? Is this little Japanese boy going on this Alice in Wonderland adventure, or did he just smack his head that hard? For anyone that really loved Miyazaki's most popular films, thankfully in the second half, maybe the last third, you do get some of that. This was by far the most interesting, animation-wise, in a good and bad way. The best way I could describe this part is like, take Spirited Away and just cut half of it away, and before the little girl actually goes into the adventure, add an hour of just filler, everyday stuff, a slow burn. Then you got this movie, How Do You Live? For better or for worse, I think the best character in this movie is actually that freaking bluebird. I could already see freaking Miyazaki fast-tracking this bird to be put in an amusement park, making a lot of goods out of it, you know, little stuffed animals. Speaking of which, at the theater, they had a lot of goods from the past Ghibli films, but none from this movie. First time seeing that. I guess they really want to avoid spoilers that badly. A little small detail I liked about this movie, Miyazaki actually found a clever way to give the little boy a more modern haircut. It reminded me of Into the Spider-Verse with what they did with Gwen. And then you got the ending. How do you live? Or how do you freaking end? I'm like, oh no, is he about to pull a Flash here? But don't worry, thankfully it's not that bad. I'm not even gonna get into spoilers. I'll just say this. You know all those fan theories about My Neighbor Totoro? For this movie, let's wait for the fan theories to drizzle out. Cause the ending is like this explosion of metaphors and symbolism. Is it symbolizing heaven? Is it Ragnarok? Is it an escape from paradise story? All of these pieces are right there. Someone just has to put it together. But until then, final score, I'm gonna go with a 6. I was leaning towards a 5, but Miyazaki. I'm just hoping this is not Miyazaki's final film. Animation was chef's kiss, but Miyazaki, next time, please do an original film.